So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find in the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end period, Yeshayahu the prophet. Then we find a layer of understanding of the restoration of the holy cities of the Messiah laid waste for many centuries. Then along with it we find then the Creator very wisely and very kindly included also the Gentiles in His holy plan. However, we find then during this time, where then we read the 61st chapter, then with the layer of understanding of the holy cities, we find then even the heathen would understand the holy plan. This means the heathen or Gentiles are included. Why they are included? Because the first stick must be restored, and the stick belongs then nation of the Ishmaelites. So let's understand what's going on. Came out very fresh from the Pacific, a very interesting topic. European Union considers protecting savers against future bank down. So then let's understand. Then the bank crashes. So let's understand then what was spoken previously. Gives us then the absolute certainty of what then Daniel, the politician and tradesperson, said regarding the time of the end. Precisely he said, during the time of the deceit, nations would try to come together, and they try to adhere to each other from the same lineage of Nimrod, or trying then to make their own systems under the Babylonian or Balian system, and then they would not adhere to each other. It was said many times before, as per the instructions, the European Union or then the Eurozone won't last for very long. And sure enough, then the banks already predicting their downing. Let's understand then what's going on. Because they know they can't hold for very long, they are already making these protecting the savers then against future crashes. We find these then coming from the Pacific very wisely, because the Pacific is not to get themselves then involved with the Balian system, where the United States is leading then this ridiculous and absolutely imbecile plan of trying to restore what they tried to do in the past and never worked. So let's try then understand what goes on. Some time ago, the nations went to China. So they went over there and they observed the riches and the wise way then the Chinese work. And then they came back home and some strange situations then started. We find that the United States then leading the whole gang. We find then United States then printing out more money. We find then Japan printing out more money. We find then US then poking North Korea because of the military exercise in South Korea. Then we find the South Koreans some time ago complaining in a radio station. The shortwave radio station, they were complaining because US then was provoking the entire situation. Then later on we find that then US tried to purchase the war of Israel in Gaza. We spend a lot of money, and there it is, the war is back. So then we find the imbeciles trying to come together with some sort of a plan, then to hold their junkies as used to be, when truly never worked. That's why we find then the answers for more than 2,500 years ago, and then the plan is unfolding before our very eyes. Not only this, then you find, unbelievably, Australia so wisely for many years then joined up the whole gang. Absolutely ridiculous. Then you find US soldiers over there landing on Australia, started with roughly 100, then 1,100, then a couple thousand. And then obviously now we find this Holter guy, the lawyer, going over there in New Zealand and tried to come up with some sort of all understanding of systems and computer, and tried to come up with some pretense of spying and helping each other out and the such. They're trying to spy around the land. The aim of the United States is to have then a military base over there, as it was in Australia. Australia got themselves then involved with the West, and their future is nearly done away with. The only way out of it is if Tony takes the leadership over there. So then we find the certainty of the instructions given us, then the absolute certainty of it's absolutely true, and then we find ourselves obviously enjoying the situation, not from the point of the stupidity of the United States, but because then when we read a couple of chapters later, we understand the Balian system and the dragon. And because of these, you can be sure of it, then the Chinese is going to get so fed up with it, and they're going to hire then the services of the Northern Kingdom, Mr. Putin. Then the party ends. Can be sure of it, because the system must be protected. As we can understand, the Balian system led by the United States is trying then to destabilize the Asian market. And then we find, freshly from today, there is European Union considers protecting savers against the future bank crash. So then, let's evaluate very precisely what goes on, because not only this, we find then even the International Monetary Fund involved with it, and they understand the Eurozone is not going to last for very long. There are signs already of the breaking apart. And then the system is so bad that the United States is going to be absolutely nearly without gold, because the golden deposits from Germany, they're going to remove it, not only from the United States, but from France. So let's name the group then the imbeciles. From now on, they have a title, the imbeciles. United States, Japan, Australia, and then the next target is New Zealand. We hope the islanders over there in the Northern Island, they can understand in the spirit what's coming from the West, because it's pure crap. If they are not smart, and when the United States then military lands on their land, they won't come out of there anymore. Thus then the war of Bel and the dragon. And at the end we understand the dragon must win. And the Messiah is already in the future saying, don't bother very much, because in the future the freighters are in charge. The Messiah is already beyond our time. And he's saying freighters of the earth are in charge. So then what is the best investment? If there is a threat of the Balian or the imbeciles, the best for every nation is invested then in the Brics system. Instantly, don't think twice. If you have resources, if you can be involved ASAP, as fast as you can. Because then the development can start, and then Mr. Zuma in Africa can start doing his work. Inviting then the presidents of the other countries of Africa coming together and finding out a way of having their system then linked up, so then the entire African continent working as a whole, as a kingdom. Then China later, they're going to get very fed up with this junkie of the imbeciles, and then Mr. Putin hired as the manager. Then he's not going to waste much time, because he has the partnership with China, Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom, and these should be enough for a long time. So then, from the best place in the theater, let's say, in the top section, very front, then we find the main kingdoms watching from the top, then the imbeciles run around. The imbeciles in the rest of the world, unfortunately, caught up with the stupidity of the United States, junkie, Israel junkie, got themselves in war again, and they are watching from afar. And thus far, then, the Northern Kingdom or Mr. Putin should be a bit concerned, but then relaxed, because he has the entire continent of Africa at his disposal. The deal is, make sure then comes a time when the Chinese hire their services. Then instantly, Mr. Putin has the entire African continent at his disposal. And they have a lot of riches over there. Thus maintaining the Chinese system intact for a time. And then obviously later on, got Panama Canal, then got the South Pacific. The New Zealanders are smarter. They are not going to get in this Balian crap. So they can become the South Pacific trading post. And then the northern side of the Americas, European Union, and they are watching from afar and only laughing at us. Because truly these countries are imbeciles. We should have then retrieved the last year. We should have worked in our economy. We should have had then the understanding of asking the Chinese for more patrols. We didn't. We purchased the war. We got themselves in more debt. And then the war is back. Would you want another proof of imbecile? Imbeciles. Our government is imbecile. They don't know what they are doing. But then they are trying to gather themselves around because they have some sort of a belief of, some sort of a God of their own, and they think this should be the way, and they ended up being stupid. Because the Chinese system is the system of the trade of the end. And the Greco-Roman, what they believe in their own gods over there, they don't exist. Think of it, we are talking about a couple 500 years ago of a document. The Greco and the Romans, they came around roughly a couple hundred years after the ascension of the Messiah. So what document are you going to read? The reason why our system doesn't work because we are reading from the wrong document. So let's watch very closely, because the European Union, they are already breaking. They are already trying to protect their bankings and their investors, and they understand their investors are absolutely aimed at the Brics because it's the best investment. They are investing in infrastructure. Then, obviously, Africa is becoming the third most powerful kingdom. And they are going to develop the entire continent of Africa via infrastructure. And Africa has a lot of riches. So let's watch then what the Creator is doing, because he is very smart. I never met such a smart person as he is. Never, ever, ever. He's absolutely the best. And the plan was more than 2,500 years ago. So let's watch very closely, because whatsoever was spoken via the prophecies are becoming absolutely true of the moment.